Hey everybody, it's Jason Cruz once again here with MMA Payouts, the interview. And today we are talking to PFL challengers. We are talking with PFL's Michelle Montague. First and foremost question, Michelle, how are you feeling?
That's a mouthful for you, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Oh, I'm feeling great, mate. Feeling good. 3 weeks out, so happy to be feeling the way that I feel.
Great. And so you have a fight February 3rd, PFL Challengers event, Shakita Woods, PFL Challengers Series 10, Friday, February 3rd. How has your training camp been?
Training camp has been fantastic. I I think I've had one camp before that kind of went over the break, but I spent it in a quarantine room in New Zealand on an assault bike. So to
Oh,
be here, bodies on the mat, it's I'm very, very grateful for that, and to not have to fly around the world for it. Feels very good to have that weight off your shoulders.
excellent. So now we find you here down in Florida at ATT. You're training there, correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
And so you're currently in Florida.
Yeah.
Now, did you go? Are you currently living in Florida, or are you traveling between New Zealand and Florida? That seems like a long flight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've been based here almost a year now since
Okay.
my Challenger series last year, and I'll be here except for maybe the odd break back home. I'll be here for the duration of like the season type of thing. Probably for the next few years, to be honest with you. Like it makes sense.
Okay, that's great. Have you ever been to Florida before moving there last year?
Yeah, I like 10 years ago, I worked at Disney World as a lifeguard. And so
Oh,
I was up in Orlando lifeguarding, Blizzard Beach, and I made some rugby friends down here in South Florida. So I'd come down like basically every weekend for a rugby game to hang out with the girls. And so I have like a second family here already. So it's why it actually feels so right to be here, you know what I mean?
excellent, excellent. And so now you talked about rugby. Did you initially start out as a kid as a rugby player?
Yeah, I started at like 4 years old and played for like 20 years pretty much. So I was playing full contact rugby with the boys from 4 years old until there was a women's team, in my late teens, and got used to the contact and the team sport environment and being coached, in that realm as well. So I think that's something that really helped me get a good grasp on the grappling side of MMA and why I fell in love with that so quickly. Because for me, I'd go from like a rugby training in the winter outside, take my kit off, and then get on the mat for like a couple hours of jiu-jitsu or MMA afterwards at Core MMA in Hamilton there in New Zealand. So I think that built a lot of character and strength for me, and switching my mindsets between the two. But the one part that stayed true was the physicality, getting your hips under you, using your head, using your shoulders, all that sort of stuff. Like it actually synced up very well.
Now, I should have told you at the outset, New Zealand is one of my destination places to travel to. But I wanted to know, is rugby one of those sports like American baseball where everybody gets into the sport, rugby?
Yeah, New Zealand. It's the number one sport, I think, like as in most popular.
Okay.
And we are the best in the world at it, the men's and women's sevens and 15s. Like they take the odd loss, but like if you look at the records over the years, like that's what stayed consistent as us being at the top. So it's something that I grew up watching with my dad and my uncle. I used to fall asleep to the sound of the rugby commentators, and playing it for that long as well. Like, and actually over here I'm coaching like a high school team like about an hour north of where I live. So I'm up there a couple of times a week, like outside of camp, coaching them as well. So it's something that to me comes like riding a bike. Like it's my like first true love.
Okay, I'm going to ask you my only insider rugby question. Do you play sevens or do you play the traditional rugby?
I I played both. I'm built for more like feed, not speed.
Okay,
Sevens, like I could play sevens, but I was never gonna be at a high level because all those girls are fast. They all can step. Like no matter how physical I can be and like fit I can be, like you need to be like much faster than what I am. So but on a 15s field, I can be, one of the fastest forwards and physical and all that there. So I certainly had a perfect position for me in 15s, like in traditional rugby, where that's what I played for, like mostly all that time. I might have done sevens like once or twice. Definitely love it, but 15s is something I love much more. I like that there's 80 minutes, to either fix fuck up or build back scores and things like that. And everyone on the field is built so differently and each position suits them. So I think that's a pretty interesting part of it.
I see, I see. And now let me ask then, how did you transition into jiu-jitsu or MMA, specifically out of rugby? How did you transition?
Well, I would literally go from, like I said, like rugby training on the whatever night it was to down the road to the MMA gym and would be doing the grappling or jiu-jitsu or striking classes for a couple hours. So I actually did my first fight 5 weeks after starting because I just got it quickly, you know what I mean? So and and that fight went well for me, and I, as spastic as everybody's first fight is, like it was so much fucking fun. So for me, the transition was really easy. Like all my teammates supported it. It fit well with the grappling side in terms of my contact work for rugby, and nothing was conflicting between it. I still remember I played a 80-minute game of rugby one time for our club team, and we beat the other team so bad that our captain made us do fitness afterwards, like just to make us work harder. And after that, I drove, I think, 2.5 hours north to Auckland, where I competed in like a gi North Island champs or national champs, like jiu-jitsu tournament. So I literally did that all in one day and was like, wow, good day.
So, okay, was the picking up the MMA training, was that something to help you with your rugby, or was that something that you were just interested in and wanted to try?
Interested in separately, you know what I mean? I
Okay.
wanted to be sure that it wasn't conflicting, like in either aspect. More so, didn't want to affect my rugby with it. And the first broken leg I had was in rugby, and the second one I had was in wrestling. So it wasn't like one was affecting the other. But at that second break, I realized, okay, like I really gotta just. I feel bad for the other one when I hurt myself in the other one. So
Gotcha.
it was conflicting for me. So I knew that all these girls making, the New Zealand Black Ferns team, like they're only doing this. All the extra hours I'm spending on the mat, like they're spending on the field. So, it's at that level in New Zealand for rugby, you just have to be focused on that. So it was time to stop playing and to focus on MMA. And plus, like the weight side of it, in rugby, I'm trying to gain weight, trying to get big, 80 kilos. And then in MMA, like I'm not going to fight it that way. It can barely fucking move. So like I need to cut down weight. So that's the one part that I was like, okay, now's the time to just focus on MMA.
I see. And so you said you took your fight 5 months after starting the training at MMA. How did that come
five,
about? Did you someone? Oh, go ahead.
5 weeks.
5 weeks. Oh my gosh, 5 weeks. I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. So did someone at the MMA gym say, "Hey, you're a natural for this. Go ahead." I mean, how did you get into something like that just after 5 weeks?
Yeah, so my coach would never use those words. He's pretty hard on me. He loves me, but he's hard on me. So he would, and I'm not a natural, I don't think. I think I just like put the work in. But yeah, I just showed up every day. I wasn't working at that stage. I just come back from playing rugby overseas. So I was just chewing through my savings, living in the city, like in Hamilton there. So I'd go and do like morning class, lunch class, and the 3 night classes, 6 days a week, like
Oh,
every. And so I got better quickly. And the what they used to have in New Zealand was the show called The Princesses of Pain. It was an all female fight show, and they had like
oh,
20 fights on it. It was wicked. I wish they would still do it. So my first two amateur fights were actually on that show. One was at 145, and one was at like I think like maybe 170,
okay,
175. Because like hence my rugby weight, I had to take a heavier fight.
yeah.
So um so yeah, I had two fights within, like 6 months or so of joining the gym at pretty different weights, and I got a good feel for like what it was or what it could be. And for me, I definitely knew that I wanted to keep going. Like no matter where it took me, I knew I wanted to wrestle, I wanted to compete in jiu-jitsu, and I wanted to fight MMA. And all I knew was like, okay, I just keep showing up to the gym, and I'm slowly getting better and less spastic, and able to control my body more on the mat.
So what year was that you took that first fight on the reality show?
And no, it's not a reality
Oh,
show.
the
It's
TV show.
no, it's a fight show,
Oh,
like a
fight
car,
show.
like an event.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry. What year was that?
2015, and like the end of the year in 2015.
What was the one thing that you got out of that first fight or didn't realize going into it that you got out of it? Was it like the getting hit in the face? Was it like the going to the ground? What was it?
I didn't get hit at all. The
Oh,
girl running away a little bit.
oh,
Uh, but for that one, I think like I mean, there's technical stuff I saw, like me trying to finish a guillotine standing and like arching my back and instead of
oh.
like fixing my like arm hold first,
Hmm.
because I didn't know enough at that point. I knew enough to like get by, but I didn't know those small details. So I ended up finishing it in the first round, like with that guillotine. But that's probably something technical. And I just felt over the moon. The second fight, though, I felt more because I was so heavy, like 80 kilos, and
Oh,
so
okay.
and the girl, was that size. She had some kickboxing experience, and I was like, oh, I'm a bit nervous for this one. And she actually clocked me kind of with like some sort of like shit I didn't see coming. I dropped to the ground, got back up within like a second, was like, whoa. And then I went crazy on her, like that classic swimming, crazy swinging thing.
Oh,
And,
yeah, gotcha.
and like was like smacking her around a bit, but and her eye went puffy, but she was still standing, like fine.
Mhm.
And I remember clinching with her, looking back on my corner and just taking a big breath, like, oh, I am fucked. Like I was so puffed. Like I didn't know how to control like the pace, like the
Right.
distance, nothing. Like, even still learning like the distance thing. At least now I've got a good ticker and good set of lungs on me and I stay weight like all the time. But yeah, I remember that one was like, oh, okay, I'm hard work moving at this weight. So I was happy in the second round to get a good double leg and finish her with a like an inverted triangle. But yeah, that I knew I didn't want to be in there for much longer because I was gassed.
I would assume that you're just because of the fight and everything going around along with it, as well as the grappling and fighting, that your heart is almost beating through your chest. Is that something that you were experiencing? I mean, you said you were gassed. Is that something you experienced in your first couple of fights?
In the first one, no, I was so weirdly comfortable because I think I was hitting all these jiu-jitsu tournaments, and I knew that she was a bit more nervous, like just off her body language.
Okay.
I weighed in pretty lean, 145, and she weighed in the same. Well, she weighed in lighter than me, but in like a hoodie and stuff. So I was like, oh, I feel
Oh,
like I could pick her up, kind of thing. And she was short as well, so I kind of like went in with no nerves, no nothing, and especially when she started kind of running away a little bit, I was like, okay, I'm not nervous. But the second one, I was like kicking myself a bit. I was like, oh shit, okay, she's a big girl, she knows how to strike. I'm still pretty new at all this, and that one was more of like a scrap, like a classic schoolyard scrap.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, my nerves on that one were a little bit higher.
Now, obviously, since you were starting out and we're talking about that, do you feel like checking kicks? I mean, I would assume that that is like one of the hardest things to learn, getting kicked in the shin and kicking without pads and things like that. Did you feel any transition, like any challenge in transitioning into doing that?
um Not really, but because probably I didn't check kicks for like the first like 4 years,
Oh,
like, but the girls were more aiming for like other parts, you know what I mean, body and head and that there. It
mhm.
was when I had that first fight with one of the girls, an amateur, Sabrina, and she was attacking my like lead calf, and I had to do the fight in the wrong stance because I'd injured my leg the first day of the tournament. So I already felt like Gumby, and then she was calf kicking that leg, and I remember being like, and that's in these thin little amateur pads, like the ones that still fucking hurt. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how many of those I want to take, but I didn't take too many, and even then I was like, yeah, bit of pain there. So, when you get bone on like bone or bone on meat, like it's always going to hurt, whether it's a fist or an elbow or like even just a knee. Like that shit's going to sting, and you just expect it to, and you just keep pushing forward.
Oh my goodness. I would assume that that's for me would be like one of those getting kicked in the shins really hard, really hard. But
Oh, oh yeah, you don't want it. You don't want to be eating shots like that there.
yeah, no, no, not at all. So tell me a little bit about how you got into PFL challengers, how they found you, how they saw you. I assume it was with your training with AT&T, ATT, sorry.
Uh, they contacted me last last year, so not last December, the one before that, when I was still trying to get home, and I was staying over in Ireland, just doing like a couple of weeks at SBG because they took me in knowing that I was one of the IMF kids, and they know us from the circuit, so they looked after me for a couple of weeks over there before I came home, and that's when I got the text, and I was like, shit, that's a pretty quick turnaround. Like I'm going to be in quarantine for a few weeks, and I have amateur worlds to do at a weight group below before this, but pretty much like talk to Carlo, talk to Eugene. Everyone was like, "Yep, if you want to do this, you'll be locked in and do it." So yeah, it was a no brainer, that one, especially knowing that they weren't trying to throw me into the season on my pro debut. They wanted to get me a Challenger Series fight, see how I go, and then let me develop throughout the year, like either with them or with brother or sister organizations, and that's exactly what happened. And now I have the opportunity to go into the 145 season if I can perform at my best in a few weeks.
Now, what's interesting, obviously, is that Kayla Harrison, she cornered you, yeah, for your first PFL Challengers fight.
Yeah,
And how I assume you guys are training. How is it working with her?
it's awesome. She doesn't sugarcoat anything with me, and we've got similar enough strengths that like what she says really does align with what I'm trying to do on the mat, like in terms of what we're best at. So offensively and defensively, like we have the same things to work on, and so when she's ever cornering me or coaching me or drilling with me, like everything that she's got to give me input wise is valuable, and I do take it in. So yeah, that's a huge asset here, is having her on my side.
And now, do you know if she's going to corner you? I don't know what her schedule is now, but like, is she going to corner you in a couple weeks? For
Yeah, yep, they're cornering me as well. She'll come up for that as well.
awesome, awesome. That sounds great. Now, do you know anything about your opponent, Shakita Woods? It looks like she hasn't been active of late. But what do you know about her?
Yeah, she was the alternate fighter back in March last year when I fought at lightweight. So I
Okay.
actually been walking around, and I know she's wicked tall and strong and lean looking, and hopefully she makes the weight and stuff. I'm sure she will. She seems like she's got a very professional mindset about her, even though her experience on paper isn't there. Like I think she's been training and ready for a long time, and like she was meant to fight one of the girls, not too long ago, and the other girl pulled out like the day of. So I know she's been itching to go, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
um probably means as much for her as it does for me, but like I've got my own mission to accomplish here, so don't know too much about her, just know that like how mentally strong she will be and physically as well.
Nice, nice. And so PFL Challenger Series takes place Friday, February 3rd, 2023. What does this mean for you after the what we believe is a win on Friday, February 3rd? What is your mindset? Is it getting into the PFL in a full season? Will you have to take up another Challenger Series? What do you think for 2023?
Obviously want to have my best performance out there, and get that contract so I can fight in this year's season. Have 4 fights, up to 4 fights like locked in. Know like the pool of fighters that it's going to be from, and just every 6 weeks like have these fights, like and just get a good fucking feel for fighting every 6 weeks, making the weight. And again, like what a jump in level it will be, you know what I mean? Like with these girls that have got that much experience. So me, like I said, training with who I train with every day, and the support that I have back home and here, like really makes that feel, that much more achievable. And I think I've got a pretty good head on my shoulders where I can see that, like, I can see that plan for myself as well.
Now, I meant to ask you earlier, but it seems as though you have an incredible amount of cardio to do all of these things. You did rugby and then you jujitsu. What is the secret for people like us that trudge through a 1 hour a 1 hour workout and have to take a nap? What do you do? Is it rest? I saw on Instagram you taking a big ice bath. Is that
Yeah,
something that you do? What makes you restore back so you could train again the next day?
honestly, it does take time. Like if I've had time off or whatever, and I've come back from having barbecues and beers or whatever, like those first couple of weeks are hell. And like it's just gonna get like easier for me physically, because mentally you're there, but physically you're like it's like there's a lag. But I I eat clean like all year round. The stuff that I like, if I was to binge on something, it's gonna be like something healthy anyway. Like for me, I like meat and veg and potatoes. So that's lucky for me that I don't get those sort of like bad diet cravings. So that really helps your cardio system like fuel better, and having a great dietitian and Geordie, the fight dietitian, like that.
Mhm.
Oh gosh, that's like a godsend. So having that on my side, like, it is a huge help there. And like, I'm not the kid that goes out running every day, like, and you're not going to get fit by doing an hour and a half of jiu-jitsu every other day either. Like, you really got to eat clean. The times to tidy up what you're having. And I know if I don't have like a like 6 8 hours sleep, like I feel unfit the next day, even though I'm the same fitness as I was the day before. Like, sleep can really mess with your energy, eh? And so that's probably like the main thing I do. But yeah, I love my floats, I love my ice baths, I love my saunas, those things that make your heart and lungs work at a different rate than what they used to day, like in a normal day. For me, that really does like help my cardio stay as strong as what it is.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'll try to do an ice bath tonight to see if my body will react.
I
But
bet you won't. I bet you won't.
I won't. I
I
I
don't
I
think you
will.
will.
I will try. I will try, and I'll let you know how it goes. Michelle Montague, thank you so much for your time. We wish you good luck. Shakita Woods is her opponent. PFL Challenger Series 10, February 3rd. I'm about to draw my bath. So have a great rest of the day, and we
Thank you, mate.
we
Thank you.
we will be watching.
Later.
Thank you. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
Jace. Bye.